Hello, in this video I want to share my impression of the video that I have watched about how to teach good reading. The video explains how to make pizza to students and this is a very interesting when I just opened the video. The way and teaching techniques used by teacher Paul are very interesting. Even I have never gotten it when I was in school. So I think this method is very rarely practiced by teachers in general. What makes Mr. Paul teaching method interesting is because Mr. Paul very often uses body language in accordance with what is being practiced. This is a very fun because not only student, I'm also interested in the way he teaches and the instruction given by Mr. Paul are very clear so as not to confuse students. Mr. Paul explained how the score is obtained by the student which is I think it will make them more enthusiastic in learning and having rules to so that the class becomes orderly is good and asking students to take notes on what is taught so that students understand more deeply. In addition, the interaction carried out by Teacher Wall with students will make them excited in attending class by stating that everyone must have a mistake, even the teacher. So, if you ask or answer in learning class, students are expected not to be afraid to make mistake, and what is not allowed is to break the rules that have been agreed upon the attend class properly. All children will feel safe and comfortable if all teachers have a way like Teacher Falls. That doesn't make a student afraid. Most teachers, when I was in school, seemed very happy to feared by their students. Teacher Fall gives a good example in the video that I watched that teaching will be good because Teacher Fall uses media. For example, what we currently often see is using a projector in the classroom. This will be very effective in helping students understand further and clearly about how things happen because it involves action that can be shown to students then give students a practice what have been taught to increase their memory period, especially if a teacher gives students time to ask questions. If they have something that is not understood, this will be very helpful. I think this method makes teaching and learning activities effective and not just flat because basically a student will like the lesson, the lesson the teacher teaches if he already like the way of teaching. I told like this because when I was in school, I used to feel like that. If a teacher gave something interesting or challenging, it made me excited to receive it, especially if there was a specific score. An expressive teacher like Teacher Wall will certainly be liked by his student, and any teacher who can apply what Teacher Wall uses in teaching will also be liked by his students. Teacher Wall does not forget to enter the class and greet his student first to ensure the response of his students that they are ready for today's learning in class. It is good when Teacher Wall writes back what he explained on the board to make it clear to his student in this video by discussing how to make pizza or something related to procedures become this is how to make pizza using English and picking up vocabulary that can be used and good for students to develop their knowledge. If we as teachers can be expressive like Mr. Fall, in the end students will like what we are teaching and this is good because there can be interaction between students and teachers that are rarely found. When I was at school, I thought we as students have to keep our distance from teachers in the sense if of not asking too much question to the teacher because the attitude they show is like we shouldn't ask too many questions and they will give a jerky tone if there are mistake in our questions or answer. But after watching this video, I understand that a teacher is someone who is a source of knowledge. So it will be very good if students could ask questions directly to their teacher because learning requires a long process. So as a teacher, use your time well. Mr. Fall also appointed students to answer or ask questions as a whole. This means Mr. Fall does not differentiate between one student and another, so students are required to ask or answer all of them. This is a very inversely proportional to when in school most teacher prefers students who just be smart and diligent, even though the ones who really need attention are the students who just stay quiet in class, ask what their problems, and try not to discriminate. Being fun for students is not difficult like what Mr. Val does. Why should it be fun? Because that is the purpose of a teacher. First, educate and teach new knowledge, and before that, you should do the best thing that can make them feel happy and excited first. Mr. Fall also explains in his videos some movement besides practice, namely movements such as joking, and his students love after that. I who saw this video had to laugh myself, and this how Mr. Fall's student felt in this video. When explaining how to make pizza, Mr. Wall has also told his students the purpose of today's learning, and then he gave example of body language that match with is displayed on the projector, and also explain again with personal understanding for better student understanding. And his way, I think, is the most effectively way for a teacher so that student can understand the material presented, because the understanding of the teacher personally will usually be easier than explanation from the internet or projector that have been made before learning begins. Being a teacher like Mr. Fall does require a lot of practice, because this is an ability that looks like a professional if there are teachers who apply this to their teaching to students, and the practice can be applied little by little for myself as a prospective teacher. It is also very good that in this video, Mr. Val invites students to understand what the students are learning, because at the end of the lesson there will be questions and answer session that will be asked by students to their friends and vice versa. In turn, this is good for honing students' abilities, in my opinion, about what they have learned during the learning process, and they can express it well and then will be corrected by Mr. Wall if there are still mistakes in their answers. And one thing that must be remembered, that Mr. Wall is a very accepting if students have mistake in answering or asking questions. In the end, the method used by Mr. Wall in his way of teaching is very good because of effectiveness, as a teacher should teach and the material can be conveyed well, and even students understand and can repeat if needed and explain again what has been learned. This means that a teacher's success when the purpose of learning activities can be achieved well, because of the purpose of the teacher teaching is to make students who previously did not understand something understand and can even implement it well. And if this video continue to show, it will greatly help teachers around the world to be able to use teaching methods like what Mr. Falls teaches. The quality of teachers like Mr. Fall is very rare we find in the world of education every day. Maybe some teachers do not understand good teaching methods and should learn more, especially prospective teachers. It would be interesting if using methods like Mr. Fall. So I think Mr. Fu also uses the method of teaching repetition in this video to students, and this means that students will have the habit of repeating what the teacher says, and eventually they become able to rely on this theory of behaving as a teacher should. In conclusion, this video is very good for the world of education in order to further realize that what students need is a bond with the teacher. A strong bond that comes from the teacher who initially gives examples to students so that they understand what learning is and what the consequences are in learning if they're violent and so on. The methods used can vary. For example, Mr. Fall uses a lot of body language or just students to come forward and chooses our student without discriminating, or it can also use the repetition method, which is to let students follow what we say, and it will be great if you all use method in this video. I think that's all, and thank you.